First of all, I'm Georgia Applegate. I'm the president of AAUW Oregon Online, and I'd like to welcome you to our first program meeting of this academic year. And we, as a branch, have sent we sent one person to NCCWSL this last June. And we thought, well, it'd be really nice to hear about the experiences of the student that we send. AAUW of Oregon sends 2 people to NCCWSL every year. We had a little difficulty in the last few years when it was virtual, but since this last year was in person once again, we are really excited to be able to send the 2 people. We had a total of 7 throughout the state. Wendy Cook, who is attending this meeting, handled all the arrangements, all the travel arrangements for all 7 of the Oregon participants. And she's available if you have questions about how that worked. And she is a godsend. She was so marvelous to help all of our Oregon students not only meet each other, coordinate all the travel arrangements to get from Oregon to Maryland. So welcome. We'll have questions. We'll have time for questions after everybody has given their presentation about what it was like for them, what their experiences were. So that's basically the outline. Is very simple. Each participant will introduce themselves. Then they'll give their presentation, and then at the conclusion of all the presentations, we'll have time for questions from the audience for the participants. I would like to introduce my co-host, Elaine Johnson, who is Program VP for California Online, and then Gail Swain, who is the current president of California Online. Elaine?
Thank you very much. We're really delighted that you asked us to join you tonight, and looking very much forward to the presentations from each of you presenters. We're excited about being a part of this and really looking forward to it. Gail, I'm going to ask you to bring greetings as the president of the AAUW California Online.
Thank you, Elaine. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. When I first learned about NCCWSL, that is such a cute name for all of those letters. Anyway, I'm like, wow, if that had been around when I was in college, where would I be? It's just a wonderful program. And I'm so glad we have people on here, women on here that take advantage of it, because believe me, your time during college and all the things you learn and do will help you the rest of your life. So thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us and sharing your experiences. And again, thank you to Oregon for letting California hop on and join this great program and bring in some California people too. And I just want to say, if I disappear, just a little while ago, my internet went down in the room, and it may do it again. So it's not because I don't want to be here. It's because, as you know, we don't always have complete control over our Wi-Fi. So thank you.
Thank you. And for the rest of you, we make a great team, because Gail is an extreme extrovert, and I'm on the scale of an introvert. And she's an actress, and I'm a scientist. So we are looking forward to the differences tonight in the presenters as well, which we have a great variety. So with that, let's get going and hear your stories.
Okay, I've sorted people in alpha order by first name so that we've mixed up the Oregon and the California participants. And we'll start with Anastasiia from Oregon.
Hi, my name is Anastasiia. I'm junior at Oregon State University. I just transferred from Chemeketa Community College. That's where I heard about NCCWSL and this opportunity to go there. I'm a computer science major, and as you know, I attended NCCWSL in June 2023. That's a little bit about me. That's what you see on the slide. That's what I sent on my email to Wendy Cook, who was my coordinator. Thank you so much, Wendy, for coordinating it all for us all. It was a great help, and our trip was very smooth because of Wendy. We had all of our flights planned. Everything was planned. All I had to do is just to be there, and it made my life so much easier. And I want to read it for you all. NCCWSL was a breath of fresh air for me, something I needed to improve my life and my future career. I left the conference motivated and directed to reach new goals and be a leader in my community. And now it's 3 months after the conference, and I can say that NCCWSL motivated me to make big changes in my life. And I will share you what exactly the changes are in a little bit, but I want to share a little bit more about the conference itself, so you can have this experience as well. I arrived to Maryland on May 31st, and right away I became really good friends with my roommate. And now after the conference, I still stay in touch with her. I only had one roommate, but it was very easy to make friends. I was talking to people, walking on hallways, or just sitting in the lounge. Everybody was very open-minded, and conversations were very easy to start. And it was so interesting because all the women were from different backgrounds, from different states. And I felt like I was learning a lot every single day, not only from speakers and leaders, but from people who attend the conference as well. On the next slide, I shared my notes regarding one of the panels I visited. It was Power, Influence, and Impact, Women and Transformative Leadership by Grace. Grace pointed some very important skills each person should have to be a good leader. First one is ethics, to hold yourself to a standard and requires the same for your stakeholders. I never thought of this idea. That's why I put it down in my notes. Because for some reason, I thought that leader is somebody who holds other people accountable. But it really opened my eyes that it's important to hold yourself to the standard first, and after that, everybody will follow you. The second one is logic, competence in decision making, using correct information to derive a conclusion. As a computer science student, logic and analytical thinking is a big part. And I can even see it in my life that to be a good leader, you have to be very thoughtful. And being your true self, it's easy to say, but sometimes it's hard to do. But it's a good reminder, and Grace reminded us to be our true selves and empowers the skills we already have. And after that, people will follow you, and you can be a good leader with those skills. I enjoyed this presentation, but I attended many panels and sessions. A couple of them were careers that do good, dominating your industry was healthy productivity. That's one of the pictures I took during the conference. And the most fascinating part about those sessions was that speakers were different ages. Some of the speakers were many years into their careers, but we had one speaker who is a college student as I am, and she was sharing her ideas about productivities and how to balance school life and work. And it was very interesting to listen to all of those ideas and different views on the same topic. But yeah, that's pretty much about the sessions and panels. And outside those educational events, we had a field trip to DC. It was unbelievably fun because we got a chance to explore the city with my new friends. Those are the friends I made. And we went to White House and we went to Lincoln Memorial. And it was just so much fun because we had a lot of good food. We were just eating ice cream and we went to the restaurant where a lot of famous people were eating. I believe a lot of singers and even presidents visited that place. So it was nice to touch the history and just be there. Yeah, so that's about the field trip. But my favorite part about NCCWSL was definitely people. Everyone I met was exciting to talk to, had something to teach others, and just were amazing people because I feel like everyone was very supportive and just trying each other to grow, like helping each other to grow. And it really motivated me to come back home and to be a leader myself and to be somebody as supportive, as welcoming to other women in the community. And one of the examples, so on my flight from DC, I was looking through my email and I found this opportunity at OSU in leadership positions. So it's ASOSU, Associate Students of Oregon State University, student government. They're on campus at Oregon State, and I applied and I got a job. And I believe that NCCWSL definitely motivated me and just gave me this idea that I can do everything I can. After talking to all the successful women, I just believe that I can get a job, and I got a job. So I'm working as International Cultural Affairs Coordinator at OSU right now, and I really love the job. So yeah, I believe without NCCWSL and without this beautiful opportunity AAUW Oregon Online Branch gave to all of us, I don't know if I would be able to, if I was able to get that job, if I had the same motivation and the same faith in myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Anastasiia. Thank you. Thank you very much. There'll be questions for you after everyone has given their presentation. The second person up to present will be Bertha.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bertha Cazares. Thank you to Elaine for inviting me to be here tonight. I'm a fourth-year communications major coming from San Jose State University, and I'm also a proud community college transfer student from College of Marin. This summer, I was able to attend NCCWSL with a scholarship and some help from my grandma. And NCCWSL was the first time I was actually fully on the East Coast, just in Maryland. So it was a really nice experience. And my roommate here was Tania, who I believe was a presenter at a couple of other Oregon branch events. And as a comms major, I really got to test out my networking skills and to not be afraid to put myself out there, especially during the Q&As after the seminars were over. And I even got to meet Gloria Blackwell at the event. So she is a light and truly such a great representation of all you wonderful ladies as the CEO. I really appreciated the seminars since there was such a variety of them. My favorites being navigating being the only in the workplace and also the Healthy Relationships 101. Each presenter provided me with information about their field, and mentally I was able to take notes about their presentation styles and how I could present more confidently myself. And they truly made me feel seen, especially navigating the only in a workplace, especially since it felt like kind of like a group therapy session at some point. My final seminar actually included a panel of people who worked in the comms and marketing field, and the age range of the speakers was one of my favorite things, as Anastasiia had said, because you had people that were just beginning their careers and then some people that were kind of farther along in their careers. And after the Q&A, they really wanted to interact with you, kind of help answer all your questions and even connect with you on LinkedIn. So I have some connections there, which is I really appreciated. I also loved hearing from the keynote speakers, particularly Blair Amani, since I had followed her on Instagram, and seeing her in person was really surreal. So I was able to take a couple of photos with her too. Something else that I really enjoyed was being in the dorms, since it felt like being at summer camp a little bit, especially since we had the food hall right next to our dorms, and being able to be next to there and have all our meals, or almost all our meals there, was really great, because I got to meet people within the food hall that I still talk with and keep in touch with on Instagram. And it kind of felt like a group debrief every night on what we learned, what we're going to do tomorrow, and, kind of just being excited for the rest of the conference. Another thing that I really appreciated was the DC trip, just because I love DC as a city. I always say that if I could move there, I would. And I was able to meet up with some of my friends that were already living in the DC area. So it was just a nice crossover event, I would say. And being at University of Maryland College Park actually inspired me to consider it as a master's program option, just because of how big it is, the campus life, and how many notable alumni had gone there. For instance, Jeff Kenny, who's the author of one of my favorite book series as a kid. And also, when I returned home, it helped me network with other AAUW branches, such as the San Jose branch, who would show up to events at San Jose State. And it was nice to hear or share my experience with them and hear about who they sent to Nick Whistle and Tech Trek, and just be able to connect with them and bounce ideas off each other. Yeah, that's my experience. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Beth, very much. That sounded very exciting. Okay, the next person we're going to hear from is Elisheba.
Thank you, Georgia. My name is Elisheba Folia, and I also go by Ellie. I am in my second year at Chemeketa Community College in Salem, Oregon, and I'm pursuing my hospitality and tourism management degree. My goal is to be a hotel manager, and with that goal, aside from the responsibilities of fulfilling the job, I want to be a compassionate leader. And that was one of the main reasons for wanting to go to Nick Whistle, because I knew that I was going to learn insights of ways that I could be a compassionate leader. And I know it's just a small experience, and there's so many more experiences to be had, but I was so thankful for all the inspiring speakers and the friends we made along the way, and the opportunity to network. So I wanted to share a few tidbits with you guys that really stuck to me. I would say Minda Hart's keynote speech was very inspirational. I could still hear her boldly telling us, and if any of you have seen Minda, she's this tiny gal, and she just has this humble personality about her, but she has a way of communicating and inspiring so many. And she told us, we all have a voice. You have to decide how you want to use it. And I was surprised when she told us that she was the person that would sit in the back, and she didn't want the attention on her. And now she's giving keynote speeches. And that really resonated with me, because I tend to avoid public speaking because it scares me. And I'm sharing that vulnerability with you because the keynote speech was about finding your voice. And Minda told us that when we go out into this world, we're going to need courage. And she defined courage as the ability to do what frightens one. And I thought that was a really great way to explain courage. And she said, you are a leader, you just need to activate it. And her final thought really left me pondering. She said, who is going to benefit from your courage? And I know it's a little cheesy, but it really makes me think, like, if we could get past our fears, there's so much more to be had out there. And I found that really inspiring. Another speaker that I am not going to forget is Janine Lattis. And if any of you have heard of her, she is the author of the book, If I Am Missing or Dead. It's a memoir about her experiences and about her sister Amy. I don't know if any of you other ladies presenting were in her session, but I was not prepared for how heavy it was going to be. And I thought about not mentioning it on here because, you know, it's hard to talk about abuse and things like that. But Janine has a mission in life to share her experiences in hopes of bringing to light what it's like to love somebody who's going through abuse. And she was sharing ways that you can support people who are going through abuse. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought it would be fitting to bring it up tonight, because with the statistics of how many people have experienced or will experience abuse in their lifetime, I think everybody here might know somebody who has been abused, unfortunately. And one thing that Janine said really stuck with me. She said, the most important thing you can do as a friend watching somebody go through abuse is to be there for them, but to also bear witness to their abuse. If you hear them being verbally abused, to stand up and say, you know, I heard this and that was not okay. And to face the perpetrator if you witness it and tell them in as much language as you can that what they said was not okay. And also what you can do for them is to tell them that you believe in them, you know that they'll make the right choice, and to give them resources and just let them know that you're there for them. Another presenter that I also really enjoyed listening to was Charlene Harry. And she had us do an interesting exercise where we did a time audit. And she wanted us to write down everything that we did in the last 24 hours. And this was a way to bring to attention how we use our time. And she wanted us to go over everything and see what we value the most. She wanted us to see, to assess the best added value time. So she wanted us to focus on the tasks that would give us the most value. So if we're stressed and overwhelmed with so many things that we have to do, just whittling it down to the things that are going to give us the most value. Sometimes we have to cut out things that are not going to be beneficial for us. So I found that as a good aid in looking over how I spend my time. And there were just so many presenters that had awesome information and encouragement, and the workshops and panels. And like Bertha shared, the friendships that were made. And I would say that the friendships and the networking was also another highlight of my experience at Nick Whistle. And it was also mentioned by Anastasiia, our field trip to DC. But what I didn't expect when we went to the Lincoln Memorial, that when I stood there, I just had this vision of Martin Luther King standing there giving his speech, and it really hit me. I was like, you know what? We're a part of his dream. And I know we've came a long way since his time, and there's still so much more work to be done. And there's ongoing struggles for racial and social justice. But each of us are part of his dream. And the AAUW shares so many of his values. And I found that Washington, D.C. and Maryland to be a very perfect setting for where we held our conference. And it was just really neat to see historical places like that. So along with the new connections and the inspirational messages, I would say that when I went to Nick Whistle, my dreams I thought were pretty big. But when I left Nick Whistle, my goal in life of having an associate's degree grew, because after Nick Whistle, I learned about so many different ways that you could find financial aid and talk to mentors to get insight and information on the path we want to go on with our careers. So my dream grew from wanting to get an associate's to definitely wanting to get a bachelor's and probably continuing on to further education. And I know it seems small, but just the simple thought of getting a mentor, somebody in the career that you're looking to go is going to really help you, because they can point you in the direction you're going to want to take. And since I'm on here, I also wanted to thank all of you listening at AAUW for being part of such a transformative branch and for your part in making this event possible. So thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you so much. You and your colleagues are the reason we do this. Josephine, may we hear from you?
Hello, everyone. My name is Josephine. I am a political science student at the University of Redlands, which is in Southern California. But I did grow up in Pennsylvania, so over the summer, it wasn't too hard of a travel for me to get down to DC. And it was such an honor to be there. Thank you to Pamela Ford, who was my coordinator, and thank you to all AAUW members for helping me on this journey. So yeah, I wanted to talk about some of the main takeaways I gained from this experience. It really helped me direct my career path. That is one thing that I am very thankful for, because there was a career panel and I hadn't quite been sure. I know I'm political science and I knew I was a little bit more international relations than American politics, but I went to the international relations career panel and it was so inspiring. There was a woman from the World Bank, a woman from the Department of State, and a woman who was part of a prominent think tank in DC called the Atlantic Council. And I was so touched by the fact that they were very much so willing to stay behind and answer all of our questions. There's a few other of my peers who stayed behind. We wanted to ask questions, maybe get some LinkedIn's. And all of the panelists were so kind and so willing to share their information. The woman from the think tank, I actually got her contact and she was saying that she was going to reach out to me, and I was so honored. And that connection with the Atlantic Council, I actually was inspired to go to another conference of the Atlantic Councils later that summer, which was a big step for me because NCCWSL was my first ever conference. I didn't know it was such a thing, and so I went to an energy security conference from the Atlantic Council, also in DC, about a month later, and it was so interesting. There was, I mean, I won't get too much into that because it's a different conference, but it was the connection that brought me there that directed my career path into now understanding that I want to get into energy security, and so that's what I'm writing my capstone on this year. So it was really great for me to have that connection. It really solidified my career path. So that was a big turning point for me, which I was so happy about. Another panel that I really enjoyed and benefited from was the financial literacy panel. I think there were 4 women, all of different financial careers, different backgrounds, and it was so helpful. It was, as a college student, I haven't had that much input about financial literacy, and it was very, very helpful. They taught us how to budget, and like they gave a whole analogy about a house and that you should start with your savings and then at the top you invest, which was too bad to hear because I wanted to start investing now, but but now I know. So that was very, very important panel. That one stuck with me. And also the DC trip was so fun. I really made some lasting friendships there, and it was just so great. It wasn't just, I think someone else kind of mentioned this too, it wasn't just learning from these very accomplished, very important women, but also just being around peers who were also so motivated. I didn't realize I had such a lack of, I guess, community of motivated women leaders. I didn't realize I had such a lack of that in my life, but it really changed things for me. And actually, I started a club with my friends this year for our senior year, which is a bit late in the game, but which is really big for me because that's never something I considered. And my friend wanted to start this club. I've never been in such a, pointed leadership position. But I really think that what I learned from the club, or from the conference, the confidence that I gained helped me run this club. And now I'm vice president, which is pretty cool. So that was a big takeaway. That was a big stepping point for me as well. I think I learned a lot about myself and a lot about my capabilities, which was so great. I also learned the importance of LinkedIn in this conference. There was a panelist about just networking in general. And she was like, okay, now everyone turn to the person next to you, get their LinkedIn, everybody. And now I've really built my LinkedIn, which is super cool. It's good for business. I now post everything that I do. So there were just it was a very personal experience for me. It was so great learning from these women. The one big point was that how honored I was that these very accomplished women were willing to hear from me, and I could ask them all the questions that I had. There's the Secretary of State of Maryland, Susan C. Lee, and she spoke at the Women of Distinction Awards. And I was so impressed that she was there and she was willing to shake my hand. And even though her time had run out, she had to move on to her next event of the night. She really was willing to listen to me. She wanted to help me out and inspire me. She was so kind, and I was so honored by all of that. So it was a very personal experience, and it really, really solidified my career path, which was not something I expected. I thought I would have my leadership skills solidified, but also, my career path, which is very, very great. So thank you very much, AAUW, all of you, and thank you all for giving me this opportunity. It really has done a lot for me in this important time of my life.
Thank you very much, Josephine. That sounds wonderful. Melissa, may we hear from you now?
Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa. I am a member of the El Cajon and La Mesa AAUW branch. I actually graduated from San Diego State University in December of 2022. I currently work as a medical legal historian at the Institutes of Health in San Diego. And I had the honor of being an attendee for the virtual NCCWSL in May 2021. There were over 400 attendees at the virtual NCCWSL, and they were from all over the country. They came from Spain, Cambodia, Puerto Rico. The virtual conference included keynote award-winning speakers. They had workshops that promoted engagement, connection, networking. So a couple of the workshops that I enjoyed most included how to amp up your political and civic engagement. And there was another one that was how to start a nonprofit. So as a result of this conference, I reached out to a local assemblywoman in San Diego to inquire on what the community was doing to advocate for injured workers in California. That's a big part of what I currently do in my job position. And I also wanted to know how I could help. This is not something I would have done prior to NCCWSL, but NCCWSL really encouraged me to really get engaged and use my voice. I also considered creating a nonprofit, and it's something that I'd like to do in the future. And I learned all of the necessary tools that I would need to do so. I received dozens of LinkedIn invites, and I found many like-minded women to connect with from the conference. I learned many life truths as taught by the keynote speakers. I learned how important it is to consciously develop myself, and how important civic consciousness is to me and my community overall. I left the virtual conference with this amazing book list that was given from the keynote speakers. And I was able to take what I learned at the conference and then present what I learned to the local branch, the local AAUW branch. So that was really exciting to just be able to take what I learned and share it with our local branch. So just in part, NCCWSL is really a one-of-a-kind conference that any woman in this state, country, or world would benefit from attending. And I'll leave you all with one thought, which I learned from the conference. We're all striving for progress. We're not necessarily striving for perfection. And NCCWSL certainly gives women all of the tools to create progress for themselves and for their community. So I just want to thank you all for the wonderful opportunity to attend NCCWSL. Even in its virtual capacity, it was wonderful. And thank you for giving me the tools that I need to continue my progress.
Thank you, Melissa, very much. We'll hear from Tiffiny.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here. And it's been great to hear about everyone's experiences. I attended NCCWSL back in 2021. It was virtual. I was sponsored by the Sacramento branch of AAUW. It's fun for me to be here tonight because I feel like I'm growing up with AAUW a little bit. So yeah, I was really appreciative that they sent me. I first got to know, the Sacramento branch in 2020 because I received a scholarship from them. And so then later on, I believe, that's why they reached out to me and let me know of this opportunity. And I was really happy to attend. So, thinking back about my experience at NCCWSL, it came at a time that I felt it was just extremely needed. The biggest feeling that I took away was just that sense of community. It was in a time where that was, I think, tough for the country and just, not really being able to socialize like we had been used to. And so, virtually getting together and hearing from so many amazing women, especially for me, women in STEM, it was very motivating and very inspiring and kind of helped to reignite that fire that, that I needed to just pursue my path. I do get a little bit nervous talking in front of people, so I will probably be a couple different places. I do want to kind of share a little bit of my background. I did have a career in finance. And so I was a licensed banker working with investments at a few different banks. And then I did that for about 8 years and then decided that, I felt that I was meant to do different work and I decided to pursue my passions. So I am an aspiring physician. I've been on the pre-med track and I met AAUW when I was still at community college at American River in Sacramento. I then transferred to UC Davis, and I just graduated this past June and got my bachelor's of science in neurobiology, physiology, and behavior. And I will now be applying this upcoming cycle for medical school. So I've, stayed in touch with a lot of the amazing women and leaders in AAUW. I feel like I'm growing up with them. In my last 2 years at UC Davis, had my 2 beautiful children. So I have a son who's 2 and my daughter who's 9 months. And again, the members of AAUW, Charmin for recommending me here, and Gloria Yost, I have to acknowledge her because we've become really good friends. But I just appreciate that they are always, I feel, looking out for me and for opportunities to where I can grow and feel supported as a woman in STEM, as a mother in STEM, and so yeah, I'm really grateful to be here. One of the speakers that I remember still to this day is Dr. Tahira Jackson, and she spoke on diversity and inclusion, which I'm very passionate about. That was important to me again because just of the movements that were going on around that time. And I think it's very important to always hear different perspectives and to hear each other's stories so that we can better empathize and come together as a community and help each other and uplift each other. And that empathy and compassion that she talked about, I've continued to carry in me. And it's something that I want to extend when I am a physician, to be able to understand that people come from different places and different backgrounds and have different needs and different values. And it's just important to respect each other and include each other. So yeah, I'm grateful to be here and thank you. Thank you for hearing about my experience.
Thank you, Tiffany, very much. Can we hear from Tania?
Thank you all for being here. And again, I'm really sorry for logging in late. I'm excited to share my experience at NCCWSL 2023. I had an incredible opportunity to attend the National Conference of College Women Student Leaders. It was an experience that surpassed all of my expectations and had a profound effect in my professional, personal, and educationally. This conference had the ability to bring women from all walks of life together to be part of NCCWSL, a diverse background group of women who are passionate, aspirational, and motivating. All had the opportunity to discuss their ideas, tell our stories, and gain knowledge from one another, empowering ourselves throughout our journeys. I attended a session with Grace Virtue, Power, Influence, and Impact, Women in Transformative Leadership. She provided me with a great insight for my future as I'm currently working in an innovation and leadership bachelor's degree and the tools that I can utilize in my future careers. This NCCWSL 2023 conference was a life-changing experience. It made me realize how crucial it is for women to speak up and unite in the face of obstacles. I returned home with a rekindled sense of assurance and clear idea of my professional and personal goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Tania. We're going to have questions, and I'm going to ask Pat Lehman, who is Media Past President of AAUW of Oregon, to assist with the questions. And if you have any questions, Pat Lehman will handle this. She'll either read them out of the chat or call on you to ask your question.
Okay. Well, this is not a question. It's a comment from Sheila. She says, it's inspiring and confirming to hear that NCCWSL speakers were so supportive and encouraging. I think that's something that women do particularly well. So thank you to all you presenters. I thought you were all wonderful. And that's the only comment and question in the chat right now, unless there are more coming in.
Sue Klump?
Wondering if any of you decided to make career changes based on what you learned at NCCWSL?
I guess I didn't make like a career change, but it was more of like a kind of like a shift, I would say, because it was political science, but now I realize I very much so want to go international, and specifically with an international security and environmentalism combination, when I thought I'd be going a slightly different way. So the connection that I made at the career panel was very, very important for that. So yeah, I guess a shift.
Any other questions?
Can I ask? I'll just ask it. I'm just sort of curious if any of the attendees have ideas on ways, well, there's two-part on ways we can make future NCCWSLs even more awesome. And then also in terms of recruiting, we had a hard time getting our word out to scholarship, prospective scholarship people to apply for scholarships. So I'm wondering if you have ideas on how to do that more effectively.
Yeah, so for me, how I found out about the scholarship was my university newsletter. And I feel like it was a very efficient way. And it was very easy to learn about it because I read my emails every day. So I feel like through universities, it's the easiest way. There are also a lot of clubs and organizations on campus. And I feel like those clubs are the best way because people who are already in the clubs, they're motivated to make impact on community, and they're usually leaders already, so they will be very interested in those conferences. But yeah, I feel like educational institutions are the best way to spread the information.
I was just going to agree with Anastasiia that reaching out to the universities and also reaching out to their associative student body, like student government, to be able to blast it out on the newsletters. And just, I'm not too sure who would be in charge of that, but the link to find any of the scholarships was a bit difficult to kind of navigate and to apply for. So if it would be more user friendly, I think people would be more encouraged as well.
Yeah, I think that like I know I would find out through things through my school email, and so reaching out to the different colleges also, because you know, it seems like there's such a diverse you know, group of people that can be helped no matter kind of what you're studying. So I think just having each of the colleges send out to their departments, I think that would be helpful. And then I think the other question that you had is maybe how it could enrich the experience. I personally think this is great. I think kind of hearing other people's experiences, and it's kind of like double dipping, right? You get to hear different perspectives and what other people took away. And so I think kind of having this idea or this follow-up is great to kind of, you know, have people have an even better experience.
You could have a Nick Whistle club.
Yeah.
Here's a comment from Melissa. There are at least a few of us who struggle with public speaking, yet we proceeded with today's event. I believe this is a result of Nick Whistle. We have found our voices and we know how important sharing our voices is. Thank you.
I want to just add to that. I think that you all did very, very, very well. You looked at the camera. You were articulate. Public speaking is hard for most everybody, and you did brilliantly, each and every one of you. And I just applaud you. You did great. So Melissa, you're not alone in that, but you all, I mean, there's no way we couldn't tell that this was not something that you were comfortable with. You did good.
Yeah, I think sometimes in the past, like sometimes I would maybe pass up opportunities if it involved some sort of public speaking or things that were outside of my comfort zone. But I do think part of Nick Whistle was maybe pushing and getting outside of that comfort zone and just being okay when we don't necessarily feel. It's okay to not always be comfortable. And sometimes when we do things that are outside of our comfort zone, we then look back at that situation and we're like, wow, I'm really proud that I did that, or I feel really good about what I just did. That might help another, another woman go to this conference, or it might help get the word out. So it was really important when I heard about this that I followed through with it. And I'm sure that is true of all the participants tonight.
I have an add-on to that. It's a story about dancers on stage, and they're holding hands and they're shaking, and somebody says to the next person, "It's energy, use it."
I think you all conveyed a sense of excitement and appreciation, and that you were very, very glad that you went. So you were successful in that. And with that, that conveys to us that we really should and could donate money to fund these scholarships and pass it on. What I'm going to do now is thank everyone for coming, Oregon and California. Thanks so much for coming. I want to thank everyone for sharing their experiences. Thank you all for coming.
I just want to one more time thank the women who shared their stories tonight. It was really uplifting and a little bit jealousy making. I mean, I'm jealous that there wasn't something like this when I was in school, but I'm so glad that there is for you.
And pass on the wealth, pass the word to other people, to other young women leaders. And thank you, Wendy Cook. I hear you volunteered to do the same thing this coming year. Arrange the transport and stuff. Coordinate. Thank you.
Yeah, if any of you have younger friends that will be eligible to apply for scholarships, have them reach out to Georgia or me or Elaine or anyone, and we'll get you connected.
Yes, because AAUW of Oregon has 2 scholarships that are going to be open. And I don't know, our president, Linda Liebecker, I think is trying to get the board to offer more than 2. I don't know where that is, but at least 2.
Speak up right now. We have 3 budgeted for this coming year. So we'll be hoping to send 3 women.
Wonderful, wonderful. Oh, Gail, you have your little hand up.
I do. Thank you. I have a question. How much? I'm sure Nick Whistle is not cheap. But what does it cost somebody to attend Nick Whistle without just registration? I don't mean like housing and any of that or transportation.
Well, is Wendy still here? Wendy.
Mm-hmm. She's looking.
How much are your scholarships? I mean, it's something California Online can aspire to because we don't give any scholarships, and something
well,
I'll bring
maybe
up with our board.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the numbers. Last year, we allocated $1,800 per attendee. That included the registration and airfare and a few out-of-pocket meals, very few, because it did not need to include room and board because that's part of the registration. I forget.
Awesome.
At least last year it was. $565 was the early bird rate last year for attending for just the registration.
Right. Thank you. Thank
Sure.
you so much.
The online branch paid about $1,200 for our person who didn't claim any online extra meals or anything.
Yeah, even though we budgeted $1,800 per attendee,
Yeah.
I don't think any of them actually hit that. Most of them spent less.
Wonderful. I think it's great you do that. And I'm certainly going to talk to our branch.
Yay! So thank you again for coming. And that's the end of our program. Thank you, ladies, for coming. Thank you so
very
much.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Wonderful.
you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.